Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the books Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate, as well as Theta-Waves Meditation. And I'll put links to my books below. This video is the MBTI personality type assessment of Jaafar Jackson. The biopic Michael is doing very well at the box office, and I thought it would be interesting to determine his personality type. When we look at the 16 MBTI personality types, they can be grouped into four main ones. The first ones are sensor judgers, the second sensor perceivers, the third intuitive thinkers, and the last one intuitive feelers. To me, Jaafar Jackson is a sensor perceiver, and I will explain why. And I have some notes on screen so I don't miss anything. Jaafar Jeremiah Jackson was born on July 25, 1996 in Los Angeles, California. He is the son of Jermaine Jackson, making him a member of the famous Jackson family and the nephew of the late pop icon Michael Jackson. Growing up in a musical family, Jaafar developed an interest in singing, dancing, and performing from a young age. Although many people first knew him because of his famous family connections, Jaafar worked to establish his own identity as an entertainer. He posted song covers online and showcased vocal and dance abilities that reminded many fans of his famous uncle. In 2019, he released his debut single, Got Me Singing, marking the beginning of his professional music career. His biggest career breakthrough came when he was cast to portray Michael Jackson in the biographical film Michael. Producers reportedly conducted an extensive global search before selecting Jaafar for the role. He underwent years of preparation, studying Michael Jackson's mannerisms, voice, and performance style. The role attracted worldwide attention and introduced him to a much larger audience as both an actor and a performer. Critics and industry observers praised the effort he put into capturing his uncle's presence on screen. Beyond acting, Jaafar continues to pursue music and has expressed admiration for artists such as Frank Sinatra and Stevie Wonder. His career remains in its early stages, but he's widely viewed as one of the youngest members of the Jackson family, carrying the family's entertainment legacy into a new generation. When it comes to his personal life, Jaafar Jackson is reportedly in a long-term relationship with singer-songwriter Maddie Simpson. Several 2026 entertainment and biographical sources state that they have been together since 2016 and became engaged in 2025. His net worth. There is no widely verified authoritative estimate of Jaafar Jackson's net worth from major financial publications. Various celebrity net worth websites have estimated it between roughly $4 to $5 million, but these figures are speculative and should be treated with caution rather than as confirmed facts. If we look at Jaafar Jackson's life trajectory, is that at an early age he was interested in the arts, whether it is singing, dancing, playing different musical instruments. And some people might say, well, because he comes from the famous Jackson family, then that must be hereditary. But brain types are not passed down from parents to children. So in other words, you could have a person who is an intuitive that gives birth to a sensor and vice versa. So in the case of Jaafar Jackson is that most people on this planet are either sensor judgers or sensor perceivers, because at least 85% of our population are sensors. And in this case is that in the Jackson family, most of them are sensor perceivers. So that's one aspect. Then also, if we're trying to determine whether Jaafar Jackson is a feeler or a thinker, And I would really like strongly lean towards him being a feeler. If you look at how he moves, how he talks, there's a softness, there's a gentleness to it. Most people believe that men are left brain dominant and women are right brain dominant, but it's not the way it works. In other words, there's about 30% of men who are feelers, and there's also about 30% of women who are thinkers. In the case of Jaafar Jackson, is that you can tell that his body language, even in terms of how he was able to capture like the essence of Michael Jackson. A left brain dominant actor could have played Michael Jackson, but I think it would be not as believable. In the case of Jaafar Jackson, is that he comes from that family, so he has obviously some physical resemblance, and that softness, that gentleness comes naturally to him. Now, the last aspect is whether Jaafar Jackson is an introvert versus extrovert. I would lean more him being an introvert, because even earlier in his life, he wanted to be a professional golfer, and he said it's only him and the ball, so he wanted to have like some privacy. And when you look at him in different interviews or the red carpet, he's not trying to attract attention to him. Of course, he's part of this big biopic, Michael. He has to promote the movie, and so there's interviews, and there a lot of like attention drawn to him because of he's the main character. But I don't see him wanted to have people invade his private life. He's even in terms of his partner, yes, he's engaged, but most people don't know about like their relationship in detail. So he makes it a point to keep his private life to himself. And yes, he's part of the famous Jackson family, but you don't see him thriving in the spotlight like maybe other maybe members of the clan. So I would say that based on these factors, I would say that Jaafar Jackson is most likely an ISFP, and I think that's why he was able to capture better the essence of Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson, although yes, he was a performer, but as an intuitive, because I typed him as an ENFP, intuitives behave more like introverts, because it has to do with the difference between their energy and people around them. And if a person is an intuitive feeler, they have amongst the best energy and they need to recharge alone. So that's why Michael Jackson, although officially I would type him as an extrovert, but being again an intuitive means that he needs to be alone to feel better and just recharge. People might wonder why I typed Jaafar Jackson as a sense of perceiver and Michael Jackson as an intuitive feeler, because they both sing, they both dance, they both even in terms of how they move, their physical appearance, and obviously they're genetically linked because Michael Jackson is the uncle of Jaafar Jackson. But it has to do with the subtle energy that they give off. Michael Jackson has the best energy so far that I've tested for any entertainer, and Jaafar Jackson's energy is not as positive as Michael Jackson's. And I'm going to put below in the description of this video a 9-minute aura cleansing video so that you can feel that subtle energy, because it's something that you have to experience firsthand. So in other words, it has to do with the frequency that people give off, and that sort of subtle energy is captured digitally when a person sings. So when I listen to Jaafar Jackson singing versus Michael Jackson, and I listen to different videos, Michael Jackson always has better energy. So when you listen to his music, what you're reacting to is that loving vibration that is embedded in the voice. So let me know what you think about this MBTI type assessment of Jaafar Jackson by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.